guitar people? Welcome to Have Guitar Will Travel, presented by Vintage Guitar Magazine, with your host, me, James Patrick Regan, otherwise known as Jimmy from the Deadlies. And today I'm speaking with guitarist and bandleader Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel. In our conversation, Ray discusses his current tour schedule, his stage gear, and his custom jackets he wears on stage. Ray describes the importance of the San Francisco Bay Area early in the band's career, and his contemporaries like Dan Hicks, Huey Lewis, and Clover, and Commander Cody. Ray tells us about his upbringing outside of Philadelphia, PA, and how he discovered Western swing music. And Ray describes his guitar and seal collection in great detail, as well as amps and recording gear he's collected over the years. Ray talks about his friendships with the Vaughan brothers, Willie Nelson, Huey Lewis, and many more. Ray discusses the early days of TNN and his work with Budweiser and his TV show on RFD. And Ray tells us about his lack of plans for retirement. To find out more about Ray and Asleep at the Wheel, you can go to their website, asleepatthewheel.com. That's ASLEEPATTHEWHEEL.com. Please subscribe, like, comment, share, and most of all, review this podcast. I'd really appreciate it. And please support Vintage Guitar Magazine and all the wonderful things they do for us guitar players, because you know what? They do so many wonderful things for us guitar players. Here's my friend Ray. So how are you, Ray?
I'm good.
So what time do you have to get up in the morning after playing last night?
I'm old. I get up at 6:45 no matter what.
Really?
Absolutely.
How quickly after you get off the stage can you go to sleep?
About 1 hour. It's different when you turn 70, you know.
Well, I'm 60, and it's easy for me to go to sleep after I get off the stage too.
Yeah.
The jacket you were wearing last night, who made that jacket?
Jukebox Mama. Actually, it's just a suit jacket, but then I send them to her, and she blings them up.
Yeah.
And she makes all my stuff. She's fantastic. She's in Nashville.
Oh, she's in Nashville. Okay.
Yeah.
And the sort of the same style as Manuel.
Yeah, except Manuel's are so expensive. I have to take a mortgage out to get them, and I'm too big, as you are, and so I have to buy the stuff at the tall man's shop, and I send it up to her, or anything where I can get a big man, plus 50, size.
Sure.
And so she does that great, and that way, yeah. But I'll tell you a funny story about Manuel. Many years ago, we were in California before we moved to Texas. And we made a record deal, and we would play in L.A. at the Palomino Club, and Nudie would come down. And Manuel was Nudie's son-in-law.
Sure, yeah.
Before he went gay, so it was like, but Nudie loved us, and I would go over and play guitar because Nudie played the mandolin.
Yep.
And I would go over and play guitar with Nudie, and I might well be in the back making jackets.
Yeah, actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And Jaime, do you know Jaime as well?
No. I've never had a Manuel Peter.
Okay.
Never had.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I always had either girlfriends or friends.
Sure.
And basically I wear pretty simple. But now I got rhinestones, so it's they're back again. It's so fucking weird, man. Like in the '80s, in mid '80s and stuff. Oh God, the Western fashion was just awful.
Yeah.
And, I see pictures of myself with these bolo ties and this denim jacket with bling, which my mother-in-law made, so I had to wear it. And I was like, oh shit, this is awful.
And the guitar you were playing last night, what guitar was that?
That's a Collins special one they make for me. And the other one is a Telly that was made special by the R&D guy in Nashville.
Okay.
And it's a little bigger.
Yeah.
The body's a little bigger, and the pickups, and it's got a single double coil tap.
Yeah.
Switch, and it's about a rare Telly as you can get because it's bigger. B, it has no serial number because it says on the back it's made by the R&D. There's a guy in Nashville, and they say, hey, try stuff out and see what it's like, and then they like it, they put it on as standard options.
Yeah. And you're playing through a Super?
Tonight I'm playing through a Super. These days, I usually use a Deluxe or a Super. I'm liking the Super these days.
And anybody tell you to turn down?
Every night. No, Joey's such a good sound guy that it's so far so good.
Yeah, when you carry your own sound guy, it's a little easier to get away with being loud.
You have to be. You have to be. He's the other member of the band. I mean, it's, you know, I cannot understand people who would trust somebody who has never heard them or worked with them. I mean, good God. You know?
Yeah. The Bay Area, how important was the Bay Area to you early on?
Oh, it was everything. You know, we were basically a bunch of hippies playing hillbilly country music. Went out to the West Coast, and all of a sudden they were, and we would do a few swing numbers amongst all the thing. Everyone was like, "Oh wow, man, you know, you guys this that," and all of a sudden we saw the rich heritage of that, and the contemporary thing with you know, our contemporaries were Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks, Commander Cody, Elvin Bishop, Huey Lewis and Clover, and it was a rich musical atmosphere. What was that band? High Country. They were all the 60s psychedelic had labels. So the Youngbloods had this label, and they signed cool shit, and the Jefferson Airplane did. I mean, the Pointer Sisters were down the street. So we got quite a good basis of playing, you know, of the Western swing, because again, Bob Wills moved out to Sacramento in the late 40s, early 50s. Spade Cooley was huge. The Bay Area, we started meeting all these old guys that had been in Western bands and had got knocked out by rock and roll. They all said the same thing, because this is like 1971, 72. He said, yeah, when Elvis came in, I put my fiddle down and picked up a guitar, and then when Buck Owens, well, in the late 50s, I added pedals to my steel.
Sure. And what can you tell me about George and the Lost Planet Airmen?
Well, they were my inspiration. You know, I was in college in Ohio, and they came. Ed Ward was the he was a editor of Rolling Stone for 2 minutes in 1970, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, and he had brought him in for a concert, and they blew me away. They stayed in my apartment. And,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And we jammed for hours, and I said, I'm going to start a band. And so I kept in touch, and that's. And we had started getting it going, and then we took the trip to California.
Yeah. Any encounters with the guys from the Grateful Dead and those guys?
Absolutely. Garcia, well, first of all, see, our big deal, we had opened for Stone Ground and Hot Tuna.
Sure.
And Alice Cooper. And so we got a name around D.C. That's where I met Shep Gordon. Shep was his roadie. And then somebody booked us for a concert opening for Poco at Georgetown University. The next week they had the New Riders of Purple Sage, and so we said, "Oh, we know how to get backstage. We just played here." So we got in there, and so that's where I met Jerry, and he was just the nicest guy, man. And the week before Poco, I mean, Jim Messina. We didn't have a sound man, of course. We barely had a band. And Messina said, you want me to mix you? I went, wow, yeah, would you? And so anyway, we met Jerry, and he was so great, because I said, yeah, we played her last week with Poco. Oh, yeah. We live up in Paw Paw, West Virginia. We played these little joints. Oh, you're woodshedding. He said, you're woodshedding. I went, oh. Yeah, that was where you'd go back into the woodshed and practice.
Sure.
And I went, yeah. And he said, well, good luck, everything. And then when we moved out to California, we opened for Olden in the Way with Dave Grisman and Jerry. And then I would see him with Merle Saunders. They would play the clubs.
Sure. Yeah.
He was such an inspiration. You know, it's the Dead. I saw the Dead in 1968. In Philadelphia, PA, at the Electric Factory, and there was 200 people there. And that's when I actually met Jerry, who gave me a pack of cigarettes.
Okay, wow.
But anyway, no, they were, they were, his dedication, besides his guitar playing and everything, his dedication to playing music.
Sure.
Of all kinds.
Yeah.
From banjos to fucking rock, psychedelic rock and roll.
Yeah.
It was inspirational.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So growing up in Philadelphia, PA, how did you get exposed to Western swing and?
Well, I grew up in the suburbs, you know.
Okay.
So, but we would go into Philly. Lucky and I were always looking at music, you know, old music.
Yeah.
As well as, you know, contemporary music. You know, we loved it all. And his dad was one of those guys in the 30s and 40s who was. So he hipped us to some pretty cool stuff, to you know, some of the Kansas City jazz stuff, and whatnot. But I didn't really hear any. I had never heard of Western swing until I was 16 years old, and it wasn't even Western swing. I got a Hank Williams record, and I was like, "Oh, this is incredible." And some of the songs, like, you know, had that. You know, a twinge of Western swing.
Sure.
Like, you know, some of the up-tempo stuff.
Yeah.
And then I heard Hank Thompson, and, you know, just looking for music. You know? And also I was real well versed in country music.
Okay.
Because I started playing guitar, you know, when I was 9, and my sister and I had a group, the 4Gs. We were pretty popular. We sang "This Land Is Your Land" with the Philadelphia Orchestra when I was 10. And, and we were, you know, we did Peter Paul Mary stuff. We wore square dance outfits, the girls and us, from the Sears catalog.
Sure.
And so, and you know, we lived pretty much a real rural kind of thing. We were in a subdivision, but it was right up against horse farms. So I rode horses from the time I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And we saw Roy Rogers, and in 1958 went down to the TV station to see Gene Autry, you know, and all that shit, you know. So we had no idea that we weren't cowboys. And it's a funny story. My friend Mark Lichtenstein's grandfather had a shop on Broad Street called Rodeo Ben's, Ben Lichtenstein, and he was a rodeo tailor.
Oh, wow.
And had this great little store because back in those days, the rodeo would come to town to the arena. It was called the Arena. It was just one of them funky old buildings.
Sure. And
they had a rodeo. I mean, you know, there was entertainment.
Yeah, of course.
Without internet and TV, what did you do?
You go to the circus.
Yeah, go to circus, go to the rodeo, go to the everything. So it was always there, and so I never ever considered not doing it. And like I said, started playing in square dance bands. In the summer, they would have these square dances, and they found I could play guitar, so I go play guitar, and that's where I fell in love with fiddle music.
Yeah.
And that was about 1965.
Okay.
When I was about 14, and so that's how it is, you know. And the radio back then, AM/FM radio was like just filled with great music.
Yes.
The top 40 in the 50s. That's where I heard Furlin Husky. Why would I hear Furlin Husky? Well, Wings of a Dove was a pop hit.
Sure.
And me and my brother, we always looked at the charts too.
Yeah.
My dad had a business, and one of his businesses, he was a mechanical engineer, but he made coin counting and sorting machines.
Okay. Wow.
So he got Cashbox magazine.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I first started reading labels. What's a producer? Who's a songwriter? Oh, songwriter. Oh,
yeah.
And it was so always what you know, and that was the idea. I mean, I was always discouraged by my parents and teachers. Said, "No, don't go into music." Your Uncle Mark, he's a chiropractor. He was a sax player, and he had to quit playing on the ships because it's no life for a family man.
What was your first guitar? Do you remember?
Stella. A 6-string, $12 on the one ads.
Okay.
You know, and it had steel strings, and I was taking a guitar lesson from a guy, and he put nylon strings on it.
Wow.
And drill holes.
Yeah.
And then I got my first electric was from the Montgomery Ward's catalog. It was a 335 copy.
Okay.
Cheapo.
Yeah, Silvertone probably.
You know, I guess it was, but you know, of course it was. That's who Monkey Ward sold. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Or maybe it was from the Sears catalog. What, the same thing?
I think it was a different name, but I think it all came from the same place.
Oh yeah, they were great. And then and so I had this like guitar, and I didn't have an amp, and I was gonna be a lifeguard and teach swimming, and I had the money. Could go buy my amp, and so I was going, well, what can I do? And my dad had an old tape recorder, and I looked in and I said, oh look, that's the same thing. So I plug it in, nothing happens, and I go plug it in, I turn on record. A speaker this big.
Yeah.
It sounded like Keith Richards doing Satisfaction.
And when did you get your first quote unquote real guitar?
In '67 I bought a beautiful Telecaster Custom, a '67 model. Oh no, it must have been earlier. I bought it. It was for $125, and a Pro Reverb amp.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it was fucking. Reverb changed my life. It was and then so anyway, that was it, man. And then me and Lucky had really bad rock bands, and then I also played upright bass.
Oh wow.
And tuba. And so I would do gigs on the bossa nova kind of. I could read back then.
Sure.
So anyways,
did you have like formal lessons or?
Yeah, well, at the school they gave me lessons on the bass,
okay,
and on the tuba because I didn't play a fall sport. I played basketball and either tennis, golf, or track. And so anyways, they gave me lessons in that, and so then the bass I would of course pick that up.
Yeah.
Guitar, I did have some lessons. A guy named Bob Zatzman, and he gave me Mickey Baker's jazz guitar book. And, but that was about it. And otherwise, was picking up from other guitar players. Hey, show me that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What do you have as far as a guitar collection right now?
I got a lot of guitars.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Right on.
Some of them are collectible, some of them are sentimental. Buck Owens gave me one of his red, white, and blue tellers.
Did he really?
Yeah, he was a friend of mine. And that's, and then I have a Merle Haggard, one of the 10 original Merle Haggard ones.
Wow.
That has a little Tuffy on it. And one of the crew guys needed money, and I said, "Oh man, I'll treasure this."
Yeah.
So those are my tellies, and we actually used the Buck one in the studio. It's the best.
Oh, is it really?
It's a Japanese.
Yeah.
It is the best. It's because all they did was what lit is the same thing. It's the stamped bridge with the three whatever they're called.
Three trees.
Yeah, and that's what they sound like. And also I like the which neck does it? I mean, the fingerboard, is that rosewood or is it? No, it's the maple.
It's the maple.
But with that, so those are tellies. I have a '65 Strat that was, and the matching deluxe amp that was in a closet for '65 since 1960. There's not a scratch on anything, and it's gorgeous. I got a bunch of fat ones. I got custom Zephyr Regent. That's an Epiphone I love. I got 2 Epiphone acoustics, the Epiphone Custom and an Epiphone something. I've got a bunch of J200s. I have a leather covered J200.
Do you really?
The guy in England that is just gorgeous in it. I use quite a bit because it sounds great plugged in. I got a J200 Vine, which is just a friend of my girlfriend said that's a piece of jewelry.
Yeah, exactly.
So gorgeous. It's got the carved. Anyway, it's just gorgeous. Yeah. I got a J150 that is just. It's an 80s model, 19, and it's just those when the Bozeman shop is still one of the great shops.
Yeah.
I've got. A lot of steel guitars, not pedal steel. I got a triple neck National. A couple of Fenders. I got a 4-neck Fender. That belonged to Bob Will's guy, Gene Crownover. Oh my gosh, I've got Robin. Do you remember Robin guitarist?
Sure,
the
absolutely.
Houston guy. I've got a Robin.
Robin made guitars for the Vaughan brothers.
Yeah, this is one. Yeah, because Jimmy and Stevie were great. So Jimmy's still a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Stevie was. Robin. Oh God, I'm looking down the row of stuff. Well, I have Ray Benson guitars. For a while, Samick had bought Valley Arts. And they had some pretty good craftsmen.
Yeah.
And they made me a lot of guitars. I've got these Ray Benson model guitars.
Oh, really?
That have Texas pick guards.
Okay.
And they're pretty cool. A lot of autograph guitars, that kind of stuff that hangs on the wall. But playing guitars, yeah, I got a D18, an 80s, early 80s D18.
Yeah.
This is my parlor guitar. Yeah, and then the Collins, I've got some fantastic Collins archtop single pickup.
Yeah.
Jazz box.
Yeah,
I don't even know what it's called. And the Collins acoustic, Dreadnought.
Sure.
That's our studio go-to.
Okay. They're all tools to you, but do you like collect? Are you looking?
No,
they're just tools.
Yeah. I've sold most of the stuff that I would have, that were
the collectibles.
Yeah, because like I say, I play them.
Yeah.
I got weird guitars. I got these Washburns that have this called a Stevens cutaway. They don't make them anymore, but this guy was brilliant, whoever he was. And these two acoustic guitars that you can go all the way up to here, and they're incredible. Yeah, I love guitars. I love lap steels. I got a Rickenbacker I've had for a long time, and some others, Eddie Alkiri. 10-string.
And do you play these lap steels and stuff?
No, my son does a little bit, but that's the kind of steel we use, so I always have them in case somebody sits in.
Yeah, of course.
And I just love them. There's just I've got this imitation Weizenborn that is incredible. A guy made in Italy.
Wow.
All I know is it sounds like God, man. It's just amazing. And I can play that, not professionally.
Yeah.
And what else I got? I don't know, man. I just.
What about amps?
Yeah, I got a lot of blackface and silverface.
Yeah.
I've got one that I've had since '72. I have a Princeton that I use a lot. We've covered it in brown vinyl, but it was black. It's a silver face. I think it's a 69 issue or 70.
Yeah.
I've got a black face Princeton. I've got a lot of deluxes. I told you about this 1965 deluxe. I got I'm not sure what year, but a Silverface Deluxe I use quite a bit.
Yeah.
I have these Vibrolux reissues I love. I don't know what year. Was that 80s they made them?
Yeah.
They're brown Vibroluxes. Those I use quite a bit in the studio. Then I had the vintage one. I've got these Epiphone amps, 1950 Epiphone. What's it called? It's called the Zephyr.
Okay.
And it's an interesting story. Gibson was making amps in the 40s, and they really were lousy. And they still are.
Yes. I was going to say that.
And Epiphone's gone. We got to make our own. And they hired this guy named Dan. And he was a high school kid. He was a senior in high school. And he designed this amp. It's got the carved out wood, E, And it was the guy who made Dan Electro.
Sure, yeah.
I can't remember his last name. But anyway, yes, I have one of them. I use that quite a bit because it's with the Epiphone Custom Zephyr Regent. The Zephyr amp is it's perfect.
Yeah.
I have a 1938 National.
Wow.
It was a steel guitar amp. It came with a frying pan. I bought it in Hawaii, and it's got on and off volume.
Yeah.
And it has, instead of grill cloth, it has a dobro
metal
cover.
Yeah.
I asked Chris Scruggs if he says, I've seen pictures of that. I've never seen one. I said, I know. It's the rarest amp I've ever seen, and I use it. You plug the Rickenbacker in, and it's 1950 and Jerry Byrd,
Yeah, of course.
So I got those are the vintage. I have a bunch of other. I have a what's that called? Funky little amps.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of I got Fender Reverb, Spring Reverb, and then Alamo. I've got an Alamo.
Oh wow.
It's like just wacky, and so I got a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Early on, were you listening to?
That's some Marshalls.
Oh, do you really?
Oh yeah. My son was, in the med. He's got some rare Marshall that I can't. Is it some 300 watt? I don't remember what it is. Is that what it is? It's got signature on it. Something. We've got, so we've got some of them. I can't keep track because my son runs the Sleep to Wheel. Sam is my kid. He runs. He manages 4 other bands and manages the studio. And he's a guitar player, so so between the two of us, I don't know. I got some Les Pauls, I got some standard old Strats, that just, I don't even know why I have them, but and I got some of those the new D'Angelicos.
Yeah, oh yeah,
which are very good guitars actually. This one happens to be the ugliest. The guy gave it to me was yellow kind of. It was just ugly, but it plays very nicely. It's a good guitar. And
early on, when the band was going, like in the early '70s, what kind of gear were you using back then?
330. I have 355. It was a 1961 355. It's in the museum right now. The Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's it's that one. And the Telly. Those are the only 2 guitars I ever had early on, and it was always that Fender Pro that I had from high school.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
right on.
I sometimes had a concert amp for a while. One time I gave up reverb for whatever reason, I don't know. I was it's 1970. I don't know what I was thinking, and I had a concert amp, which was great, which is basically a super without less power and without the reverb. Right? So it 410s, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I played a Gretsch, Tennessean. I played, I've tried everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Clarence White, did he make an impact on you?
I saw Clarence White play bluegrass once, just before he died. And the Byrds, I loved it. Yeah. I was not a B-bender guy. I just never wanted. I can only do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But and Roland I knew very well.
Okay.
We were signed to the same label. Our first record deal, he was in Country Gazette, and we were Sleep to Wheel United Artists. I did a lot of shows with them.
Okay.
But Clarence was. I saw him at the Ash Grove with the bluegrass band.
Sure.
And of course, I love the Byrds.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see them, but and the genesis of Sleep to Wheel was we're playing this shithole in D.C. and Emmylou Lou Harris used to come see us, and all the Burrito brothers came down. They were playing at the Cellar Door Club, and Hillman and Al Perkins and Bernie Leadon, and they all come down to see this hippie band playing country music.
Was Gene Parsons in that band too?
Is he a drummer?
He was the drummer.
Yeah.
He's
Rick
actually
Roberts was in that one too.
Yeah, he's a steel player, but he was the drummer in that.
Oh, I didn't know he played steel.
Yeah.
And a really funny coincidence, my cousin Andy, she took the pictures of the Burrito brothers. She was real good friends with Graham.
Okay.
And she took all the pictures of the album covers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the Gilson Palace is in. Yeah.
That's great. The music scene that you've been involved with always has there's a lot of collaborations, a lot of guests on stage and stuff like that, and you've maintained that. Is it something that you consciously thought about, or is it something that just occurred organically?
Oh, it's just fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the idea. When I always wanted to get good enough so I could go play with my heroes.
Yeah.
can I just sneak on stage somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's always been the whole plan was. Every year I do my birthday party in Austin, and for the last 20 some odd years, and it's a jam. I say just this last year I had Jimmy Vaughan, Steve Earle, the band The Heathens, and then a bunch of new guys, Willie Carlisle, Jake Worthington, this great country singer,
Sure.
and and over the years I had everybody from Jeff Healey to Willie Nelson, the Avett brothers, Jimmy's one of my oldest pals, Jimmy Vaughan, and I. I got Jimmy his first record deal, the Thunderbirds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'd had the guy from Tacoma Records. I said, you got to hear these guys, man. They're incredible. And Denny Bruce brought them down and signed them. And so Jimmy and I have been friends. Stevie, I met Stevie when he was 19, and we were very good friends.
Was Stevie tearing up the guitar back then at 19?
No. He played second guitar to Denny Bruce.
Okay.
Denny, not Bruce. Denny. God, how soon we forget. He went and played for Dylan, and he was in Paul Ray and the Cobras.
Okay.
And when Denny would play piano, he was the lead player. Then Stevie would get to play.
Yeah.
He was learning. No, we used to jam. God, I mean, he was good, but no, he wasn't the guy who. I remember he came, when he started blossoming. Really, it was like, oh man! But he was so strung out on coke and stuff that it was hard. I kept trying to somehow, But he got straight, and then boom, dies in a helicopter. I mean, what the hell? Who knows? No, the bluesy, because I always loved blues. When me and Lucky stood in high school, we had the Red Eye Blues Band. We never played a gig, but we were in the garage, So we loved it, and we knew all the guys, Buddy Guy, Big Joe Williams. We loved, we had big ears,
Sure.
I mean, me and Lucky, that's all it was. It was sports and music. And then in 1967, we went down and saw John Coltrane at Temple University. We got to see everything, man.
Yeah.
The Dead, Janis. I saw Janis with Big Brother in one of the greatest concerts I've ever seen. Janis Joplin at her height, and I mean, just so many incredible,
Yeah.
Johnny Smith. We'd go seek out jazz guitar players,
Sure.
And shit, And
is that where you kind of got the? I mean, there was a lot in Bob Wills, of course. They were playing a lot of those legato lines that you use, but did you get that stuff from Johnny Smith as well?
All of them. I wish I'd done Johnny. I could barely carry his guitar case. But as Eldon Shamu, we learned from the guys, all the guys, and we just, that was part of the deal, to be able to jam with people.
Yeah.
And Willie's been my best friend, period. That was his whole thing.
Sure.
Anybody, get on stage, play. Yeah.
When did you meet Willie the first time?
I met Willie in 1971. We were backing up country singers. And it was either North Carolina or South Carolina. I can't remember. It was one of them. And we were backing up Stoney Edwards, who was this black country singer. He was a wonderful man. And Freddie Hart. We were backing up Freddie Hart and Connie Smith and everybody. And it was a 5-show week, And but every night the guy'd say, "I'm gonna pay you tomorrow." This guy. Well, I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
We were on, and then Willie comes, and I know him as a songwriter.
Yeah.
So, oh man, Willie Nelson, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you. Hey, y'all been paid? I said, nobody's going to pay us tomorrow. So Willie went off. Me and Paul and B sat on the bus and got acquainted. And he went, come back. Come on, we're going back to Nashville. He hasn't got the money. I said, he never did pay us.
Oh, no.
No, we never did. We did all those shows. But, so old Will, and then, of course, we were called the Poor Folks. It was he had a song called Poor Folks Stick Together. So
sure,
it was Stoney Edwards and the Poor Folks. And I tried to explain to him that we're a band called Asleep at the Wheel. I don't think it got through to him. But so we put out the record in '73. In February '73, we're playing in Austin and Dallas. And Willie hears about this band it's called Asleep at the Wheel that plays Bob Wills music, and comes down to see us.
Oh, wow.
At this club at Garland. And smoked a joint and became friends.
Right on. That's great.
And that's how it all went down. Yeah.
So you've had 100 members of the band over the years?
Maybe more.
How do you keep track?
Sam does that. He's tracked down as much as he said, "Hey, who's that?" He's got his old picture. Oh yeah, he was with us for a month. And, but yes, pretty much about 100.
Wow. And the current members, how do you find these guys?
Well, my partner in crime here now, their fiddle player, Ian, grew up down the street from me.
Oh, right on.
Had no idea. Of course, he was a kid, but went to the same high school as my kids.
Okay.
So that's there, and the word gets out.
Yeah.
And the other thing about this band is it requires quite a range of abilities. You got to be able to play, Hank Williams, Buck Owens, and Count Basie. I mean, so it's and a lot in between.
Sure.
And it's also quite a dedication. It's a lot of time on the road, and and we don't get rich. We pay everybody as much as we can, but nobody's getting rich. And gotta love doing it.
Yeah, of course. How many days of the year are you spending on the road now?
We cut way back for a lot of reasons. We're doing about 80 shows a year, and it takes
Still
about 100. It takes about 110, 20 days of travel, including travel. Most people would think that's insane, but we used to do 200. The last few years we were working 130 shows, and it would take us 180 days to do it. And nowadays, not that I couldn't or wouldn't, but it's just everything's so damn expensive.
That's a fact.
Fuel, the bus, the hotels, etc., taxes, and people don't realize I have to pay taxes in 27 states.
Oh man!
Because that's the way it is, and just I can complain about it and all, but no, you just deal with it and get it and figure it out. But so that's. And like I said, I've been managing or co-managing the band now since the early '80s. Yeah. And that's another thing. We said, look, just really can't afford a manager, so we do pretty damn good considering, but it's all personal relationships, like I'm doing some stuff with Billy Strings. I mean, I couldn't do that, through
through management,
right? His manager happens to live in Austin and be a really great guy, but it was a musical connection. I said, hey, cool. I was producing Jake Shimabukuro.
Of course.
Yeah, I did 3 cuts, and we're good friends. And Billy did a cut on the record, and that's how I met him years ago. And so, like, I'm in his video now. He called me up to do this video he did. Have you seen it? It's a 10-minute Clint Eastwood thing. Billy Strings did. It's very cool. Yeah. And he's a motherfucking guitar player. I mean, he is certainly up there.
That's a fact.
Yeah, and the same thing, people sought us out. Dolly Parton. All of a sudden, I get a call from Dolly Parton, says, "I want to do a movie with you. You're great. Let's write some songs." I went, "Oh, okay. Yeah, you're the best."
Do you, anything you recall from the mid '80s when you were sort of a staple on TNN? That's where I discovered you.
Oh, in the Ralph Emery show.
Yeah, exactly.
Every show they had. It was an interesting time. The early '80s we had dissolved. The original band had left. We had pieced together a band. It was not working. I was exploring different shit just because we could. And then about 1985, like you say, all of a sudden Ralph liked us, and he would have us on. Yeah. And Larry Franklin joined the band, and got an incredible band together, and made a record, and got a record deal back, and Jimmy Vaughan did a thing, and then by '86, '87, all of a sudden we had a resurgence. Had a small hit record on a House of Blue Lights and Way Down Texas Way. They were both top 30 or top 40, you know. And in some markets we had number 1 records, Fresno, Detroit, for whatever reason. I don't know, but all of a sudden we're back at it again.
Sure.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It was, and that's when I took over because Chris retired, our girl singer, who was just one of the greats, but she just retired. And that's when it was Ray Benson and Asleep at the Wheel. And then I realized, I don't even have to say Ray Benson, but I had to because people would know who the hell was coming.
Yeah.
And that's when I took over front, you know, basically being the vocalist of the band and had some success. And but the success of this band has always been predicated on a great band and playing to a niche audience that appreciates that. And sometimes we cross over and get some mainstream acceptance, and that helps. You know?
Did you hang out much with, you know, like the Riders in the Sky and Marty Stewart and all the other guys that were on?
Absolutely. I saw Marty. I went to the Grand Ole Opry in 1973, sat in the bleachers, and saw Marty play with Lester Flatt when he was 14. And we, as he said to me, he said, "You were my hero." He said, "You blew my mind when I found out that you weren't from Texas." He said, "You're my hero." I played, you know, Western swing, and we'd always had a hot band. And So yes, Marty. I mean, all of them. Vince, you know, Gil. I met Vince when he was with Pure Prairie.
Yeah.
And his wife. I produced in the 80s. I produced a lot of Budweiser commercials.
Okay.
I produced Katie Lang. I produced the Sweethearts of the Rodeo.
Wow.
Ricky Van Shelton. For 2 years, I sang "This Bud's for You, for all the king of beers is coming through." This great mailbox money, you know. That was 81 too.
Okay.
I didn't have a record deal. We had lost our record deal in '82, but I was producing beer commercials and like I say, Katie Lang, all these guys that were just coming up. I produced Darden Smith and had, you know, that's when I met Lyle Lovett and started and became very good friends and still are. And so that whole resurgence. We just had Steve Earle at my birthday party last week.
Wow.
Steve Earle, Lyle Lovett, Katie Lang, the O'Kanes were a great little band. I don't even remember them. Dwight Yoakam. All of that whole resurgence, we just rode in with that for comeback number 2.
Yeah. I just remember, you know, I used to watch TNN religiously and seeing you on there.
It was the only live music on TV at the time.
Exactly.
Shit. I did so many shows. Who did I do? I did a show there with Percy Mayfield. You know, I mean not Percy. The guy who did the R&B singer.
Curtis Mayfield?
No, I know Curtis. That's another thing. But I knew Curtis through the R&B Foundation. But this was Take Time to Know Her. And then he had the big hit was anyway.
Yeah.
I did the Ralph Emery show with Tiny Tim. That was so weird. But with Roy Acuff, with Tom T. Hall, with Boxcar Willie, with, you know.
Yeah.
This Chris O'Connell was one of the great singers, but like I said, she was an alcoholic. One of the great moments in country music history. We're on the Ralph Emery show, and we had just done a movie with Peter Fonda and Brooke Shields called Wanda, Nevada, and we'd done the music. And when you turned on the radio, Chris was singing the song, and Brooke Shields would say something about this. So the topic was. So there's a break, and just before we're about to go on, and Chris and I are sitting on the interview couch.
Yeah.
And the intern says, "Would you like something to drink?" And Chris goes, "Yeah, some vodka." Stupid intern pours a fucking glass full of vodka.
Oh my God.
She literally chugs it.
Oh no.
Unbeknownst to us.
Yeah.
We come back to the commercial, and Ralph goes, So, Chris, I see on this new movie with Brooke Shields and Peter Fonda that you sing the song, and she does. And Chris goes, "Yeah, you should have seen fucking Brooke Shields sing the thing." And I can see the. She just say fucking shit. Cut the commercial. Cut the commercial. They cut the commercial. They drag her off stage.
Oh my God!
Say, get off. Yeah. She got banned from TNN. But Ralph, yeah, it was such a great show. They had an incredible band. And,
yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I guess those things are held up in some sort of litigation because you'd think they'd be shown somewhere.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, every once in a while they get posted on YouTube, and then like a week later they'll get pulled down.
You know, I just finished 20 shows on the RFD channel.
Okay.
Marty Stewart's show was there, and Marty quit, so I did one. Well, it's called Ray's Roadhouse, and it's all Texas stuff. And the day before it debuts, the guy dies who made the deal.
Oh, no.
His daughters take over and cancel the show.
Oh, my God.
We'd already done 20 shows, and canceled the final 6, and they've been showing them, and they have them now, but... it's this redneck right-wing channel, but they have Saturday. They have great music.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. No, RFD was a great channel when it first got started.
It's still on there on Saturday night. They just showed the Dale Watson one I did. I had Dale Watson, had Caitlin Butts, who's doing real good now, and a lot of cool Stoney LaRue. We had Brennan Lee. We had Kelly Willis, Melissa Carper. Robert Earl King.
Wow.
And so these are great shows, and these people don't know what they got. You know.
Is Kelly Willis still active?
Yeah. In fact, my son manages Herc, Kelly, and Brennan, and Melissa have this thing called Wonder Women of Country Music.
Oh, wow.
And they're phenomenal. They recorded at my house.
Uh-huh.
I just moved all my house into the new studio. But they recorded at my house, and they're doing great. They just played the Hardly Strictly
right here.
And they're phenomenal. The three of them together are just great. They all have solo careers, but yes, Kelly, she got divorced from Bruce Robinson.
Yeah.
And she's playing all over the place. So,
right on.
Yeah.
Any encounters early on with Bill Graham?
He came to see us once. I met him, and that's all I know.
Oh, really?
We never did play Winterland, so.
Or the Fillmore?
No. We played the old Carousel Ballroom, which was the original, but no.
Oh.
In the Bay Area, we mostly we played all the way from Morgan Hill to Napa and Sonoma and up there, and mostly just clubs.
You played Cotati?
Played the end of the beginning. Played Sam's. That's where Huey started. Played the Lion's Share, was famous in San Rafael. We played there with Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show, and Cody and Clover.
Sweetwater? Do you ever play Sweetwater?
No, it's too small. I think we played the Freight and Salvage.
Sure.
You know, still did play the other night just because she started. She was there. Nancy, they got booked back in '72.
Wow.
Mandrakes, the New Monk, the Keystone Berkeley, the Keystone thing, the Keystone Palo Alto.
The Stone in San Francisco.
The Stone in San Francisco was the original. Played there with Charlie Daniels.
Did you really?
$1 and free spaghetti. Freddie's mom would cook spaghetti. Charlie was living out there. He was producing the Youngbloods at one point. Elephant Mountain, that record. Anyway, he produced that on. Jesse just died. You see that? Jesse Colin Young just died.
I did see that.
What a talent.
Yeah.
Man, it was great. It was. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
You mentioned Jimmy being your best friend, Jimmy Vaughan. Do you have a passion for cars like he does?
I don't have the money for cars like he does.
Do you own the bus?
Yes, this is my car. This is where all my money went. Yeah, I just sold all my old cars. I had a 55 Chevy. I had a 54 Studebaker. I still have a 1969 Harley that I've had since. I've had that for 40 years.
Wow.
45 years. It's in a museum at the moment because I quit riding.
Yeah, that's wise.
Yeah, no, it's dangerous in Austin now.
It's dangerous everywhere.
Yeah. But no, I had that Harley. I bought it in '76, but it's the last Harley made. Harley sold in 1970, and it's the last great Harley Davidson.
Right on.
Yeah, that and I love old cars. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm gonna get something. But I got rid of the 55. It was just, it was a project car, and I got tired of being a project. The Studebaker was a car I drove from California to Texas in.
Wow.
54 Commander. It's a great car, but the same thing. We had to restore it, and I got
Yeah.
I'm tired of that shit.
Are you? How much longer are you going to do this?
My voice holds up. I'm fine, and
your voice is solid.
Yeah. My voice was the determinant. My fingers, I have some arthritis, but not bad. And I'm not. I listen to the tape. Like I was saying, we do all these. Listen to these old tapes. I go, oh, dang, I used to play better, but I played different. That's all I did. I played. Back then, it was how fast can you play?
You were knocking it out last night.
No, thank you. I was just diminishing things, but no, the voice is what's that's what. So I made that reggae record and got to sing differently and whatnot. And I got a jazz record I'm supposed to do.
Oh, right on.
And a Sinatra-like record.
Cool.
But a real jazz record with my cousin, who's a postmodern kind of jazz piano player.
Wow.
So no, there's no reason to quit.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I got nothing else to do. We just finished the new studio. And so I'll always produce other folks. And my son is he and I are a team now, and he's made it a whole lot easier because now some of the drudgery that I used to do, I don't have to do anymore. And let the young kid do it. But he's real good, and so that's helps.
Yeah.
And I love to get on stage and sing and play. Yeah.
Were you ever thinking of doing anything in Branson, like opening a theater there? No. Good for you.
Johnny Cash one time, when Johnny Cash, Marty Stewart told me this. Johnny Cash, they actually built a Johnny Cash theater, but things went wrong and he didn't do it. But they're building a theater, and he said to Marty, I think I tested positive for Branson. We play there. They played there the other day. I had it one night, No, but that almost killed Willie. It's a long story, but no. We got busted there.
Did you?
We were opening for Glenn Campbell, and some Barney Fife said, that sleep at the wheel. I hear they're bringing a load up for Willie.
Oh, no.
Willie wasn't even there. He was off. He had pawned it off to Merle for a month, and so they busted us and came on the bus and found a half an ounce and then found some syringes because one of the guys was I can't remember what it was, some medication or something or vitamin thing he had to do.
Yeah. And
so they busted us and they paid us off and fired us.
Oh, wow.
I said, deal. But that was it. But now we go back. Yeah, the guy has a theater. We sell it out.
Yeah.
It's wonderful because they like the music.
Oh, of course they do.
But no, the 6 nights a week, that's fucking torture.
Yeah. You probably played the Crystal Palace in Bakersfield, I'm guessing.
Yeah, is it gone? I heard they were selling it. But,
really?
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that.
It was on sale, but yeah, Cherry, it's a wonderful place. First of all, Buck was a friend of mine. And that's the last place time I saw him. He came on stage and he gave me that guitar.
Yeah.
And he died about a year or two later.
Mm-hmm.
And his sons, and I've known Buddy for 50 years over. And,
wow.
And they always play golf with him in Phoenix when we can. Yeah, but I don't know what happened. I mean, it was for sale at one point. I don't know if it and I guess nobody bought it, and so they kept doing shows. I don't know.
Did you ever play Merle's place in Silverthorne up by Lake Shasta?
No, I was played in studio. I did record up there, but never played the club. No. His son's just fantastic. A singer and player band. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your
All
time.
right.
I appreciate the.
Yeah, we're leaving about 10 minutes. So.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is for what?
This is for Vintage Guitar Magazine.
Oh, my favorite. Yeah. I had no idea.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for listening to Have Guitar Will Travel. You can catch up on all the things I'm doing at thedeadlies.com. And I'm on all the social media platforms as well. And please support Vintage Guitar and all the wonderful things they do, because they do many, many wonderful things for us guitar players. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please tell a friend. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.